Hey, I just want to do a little welcome video and talk a little bit more about why I am doing more video, especially starting in 2026. I've had my channel around for a while and I've put up craft videos here and there as I felt like it, but haven't really seriously done much video stuff and definitely never really shown my face much. But I think we're all feeling it a little bit right now. There's so much AI out there, so much inauthenticness, and I've even heard it. I've heard AI phrasing a lot in like YouTube channel scripts, and it's getting harder to know like what you can trust online. Was this written by a real person? Is this a genuine review on something? Is this someone actually made, or are they just trying to make a quick buck and somebody just mass producing AI content? I enjoy having a way where I can really connect more genuinely with people. The other thing is there's a lot of kids glued to screens these days. I see it when we go out, see it just in day-to-day life, and I'm sure you've seen it too. And there's no judgment here. Like we use screens more, often than we'd like sometimes too. And, life gets so busy, so stressful that sometimes that's the easiest way to, whether we're at a restaurant or we're out shopping. I've seen it in like church services, things like that. But I don't think that's what many of us really want long term for our kids. Like, we know we want less screen time for our kids, but it can be very hard to figure out how to do that. And I'm not anti-tech by any means. In fact, we kind of fall in this weird middle. Like, we are, I know some families that are like no screens or only 20 minutes a day, and they're kind of more that end of like absolutely no screens, no phones, nothing. And there's the other extreme where it's like kids are almost using the devices like a pacifier for being calm all the time. So we kind of fall in this weird middle where I know our kids have more screen time than a lot of families, but we're also very intentional about the kind of screen time that we have our kids do. I wrote a whole blog post on this and we could talk more about it later, but all that to say, there's no guilt here, like on how much screen time you have with your kids. We have a family Minecraft LAN world going on. We love watching movies and shows together. Our kids are often coding their own games and making crazy creations. Like, we love all of that. But we also spend a lot of time outside and we spend time away from tech. It's all about balance. I just feel like lately a lot of people are being drawn to something more authenticity and realness, and especially as it relates to our kids, right? Especially as they're getting older. So a little bit about Creating the Chaos. I started Creating the Chaos in 2015. I was already doing creative things with my kids. There were printables out there, but a lot of the printables I was finding were very color heavy, and at the time we couldn't afford color ink. And I was already kind of like making some fun activities for my kids, and so I was like, oh, I can't find these printables. I'll just start making some for my kids. And I was like, oh, I've got started this blog. I'll share some of these fun printables. Got Dragon Airplane and the Dragon Marionette Puppet. Those are some of like the first ones. My background is in graphic design, so making the printables was actually fairly easy. It's actually graphic design is what I do for my full-time job, and Creating the Chaos just kind of grew from there. A little bit about us. My husband and I both grew up in Southern California, different areas in it. We spent the last 6 years before we moved here in the desert in Southern California. My husband was teaching high school in a pretty rough area, and we were able to move, because I was working remotely at the time, we were able to move to North Alabama. It's where we are now, and where we work toward raising some of our own food. My husband struggles with some health issues, so now he is home full-time. He homeschools our 5 kids, ages 5 to 15, and I work remotely full-time. A little bit more about us. We are super geeky. We love a good board game, good card game. Like I talked about, we enjoy playing computer games together, Switch games, things like that. Why Creating the Chaos is still going. I've taken a few breaks from blogging over the years. You'll notice if you go onto my website on the blog that there's huge patches where I won't post anything, and then I'll kind of go through a flurry of posting things. And that's just kind of how I've blogged over the years. I've thought a couple times about retiring the blog altogether. I looked into selling it one time, and ultimately decided, like, there'd be certain times where my kids ask me to print out a craft again. There's certain ones that they ask for over and over again, or we'll get a super fun idea of something that we want to make, and I enjoy sharing that with other people and inspiring other people as well, and helping out other parents and grandparents and teachers. and or someone will email in and ask about a printable or ask for help with something. And all of this kind of combined, I just haven't quite been able to put Creating the Chaos down. It's kind of still just stuck around. What to expect from the channel? I can't promise the most consistent posting schedule. My family comes first. As I said, I work full time, and so that takes up a lot of my time. And we have a lot going on here where we live now in North Alabama. We have chickens, a milk cow who sometimes gets out, a garden, endless projects, and all the busyness, obviously, that comes with having 5 kids. But you can trust that when I am here, I will always be here authentically. That does also mean, though, sometimes you'll hear my kids yelling and playing in the background, so this won't be like studio quality. And occasionally the chickens will have a squawking party outside my window. For some reason, that's a favorite spot to lay eggs. It's actually outside the window, the couple chickens at free range. So if you hear things like that going on, that's just regular life is still moving. Creating the Chaos will always have fun crafts and activities that aren't ridiculously complicated or require, huge swaths of, Pinterest-filled cabinets and things like that. And we'll also talk about intentional tech with kids. Again, we're not, no tech, but we'll talk about how we can have tech intentionally with kids. This channel is for parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles, as well as educators. We have a lot of teachers, librarians who use a lot of these activities from school to after-school programs and homeschool co-ops, all sorts of things like that. And thank you so much for being along on this journey with me.